The Letter, revisited. I'm looking again at this poem because when I first looked at it I thought it was definitely set in a hospital, but now rereading it and listening to quite a few other comments and looking at criticism, I think it's probably set in a trench. The Letter, I'm going to read it through and explain what I think it's about, re-explain. With BEF, June 10. So BEF is the British Expeditionary Force. It's a soldier writing either in a trench or a hospital to his wife. Dear wife, oh blast this pencil, here Bill, lends us knife. So we have a lot of comments put in brackets in this poem. All of the comments put in brackets are said to soldiers either in a trench or, I said in the previous thing, in the hospital. So his pencil has run out and he's asked Bill, presumably right next to him, for a knife to sharpen the pencil with. I'm in the pink at present, dear. In the pink meaning in good health. I think the war will end this year. Notice the rhymes here. We have two rhyming couplets. And they emphasise, don't they, the kind of very neat, rather glib nature of what he's saying. Glib meaning he's sort of rolling off the tongue but isn't entirely sincere or isn't really genuinely meant, because a lot of what he says in the letter is either fibs or lies or, you know, half-truths. We don't see much of them square-headed uns. We're out of harm's way, not bad fed. I'm longing for a taste of your old buns. So we don't see much of the square-headed, the kind of block-headed or stupid uns or Huns, Germans. We're out of harm's way. In other words, they're not going to be hurt at all, not bad fed. I'm longing for a taste of your old bun. So he's obviously got a picture of his wife making lovely buns back at home in his head, and perhaps we're getting a sense of his hunger there. Say, Jimmy, spares a bite of bread. So we, in the next line, where he's speaking to another person in the trench or the hospital or wherever it is, he's asking for a bite of bread. So in other words, he's really hungry. Notice how the rhythm of what's said in the brackets is faster and more emphatic and punchier than the kind of very neat, glib rhythm of what he's writing in the letter. There don't seem much to say just now, so we've got that slow rhythm of how he's writing to his wife. Of course, the irony here is he's got a great deal to say, but he's not allowed to say it, is he? This poem really is about censorship and the way in which the soldiers weren't allowed to say what's really happening. You what? Then don't, you ruddy cow! Give us back me cigarette! So he asked for his cigarette back. He's been smoking and obviously had it taken off him as he's been writing the letter. So we get a picture of men sort of fighting for what they want, fighting to have a cigarette or fighting for bits of bread. We get a picture of a place where there's not, you know, much food or much enjoyment at all. I'll soon be home, you mustn't fret. Me feet's improving as I told you of. We're out in rest now, never fear. So his feet's improving, that's referring to the problem of trench foot. In the trenches, men would often get rotten feet because they were wet all the time, and they had to keep them, you know, very carefully dry in dry socks. So he's talking to his wife about how his feet are getting better. They're out in rest now, so they're not being troubled by you know, being in the war. Out in rest, they're on recreation now. That was one of the reasons why I thought this was possibly set in a hospital, you know, that he's been injured and he's in a hospital and he's resting, but there's another kind of view of it that it's actually referring to him just being away from the action. but of course in the next line we learn this is not true. Vrack! By crumbs, that was near, so vrack, the use of onomatopoeia there. There's a bomb dropped nearby. We've got the capital letters emphasising the awful sound. By crumbs, that was near, you know, he nearly died. He's just said to his wife, never fear, but now that was near, and we get the rhyme of fear and near, emphasising the kind of contrast between what he's saying to his wife, which is, you know, I'm absolutely fine, and the truth, which is death is very near. So we get that rhyme there, emphasising the irony of him writing the letter. Mother might spare you half a sov. So obviously the wife has been saying that she hasn't got enough money. Kiss Neil and Bert when me and you, so probably Neil and Bert are his children or family friends or whatever, when me and you, and he's suddenly interrupted, and this finishes the letter. He's not actually, the letter is actually never fully written in this poem. Hey, what the hell? Stand to, stand to! Stand to is an abbreviated form of the command stand to arms, meaning prepare or for or to attack. So we've got some sort of attack going on. Jim, give us a hand with pack on, lad. So Jim is someone in the trench. You know, you've got put my rucksack on. We've got to go and fight. God, Christ, I'm hit. Take hold. I bad. He's been hit by one of these bombs. Take hold, you know, get a grip on yourself. I've been hit really badly. And notice the very short, punchy sentences emphasising the horror and panic of what's going on. And we have this kind of very disrupted rhythm in that line. No, damn your iodine, Jim. Here. Damn your iodine, you know, that iodine was medicine for putting on wounds. Again, but did initially make me think it was possibly set in a hospital, but they would have had iodine around in the trench to quickly put on wounds. And he's saying, damn your iodine. Well, it's not going to do any good. The iodine won't do any good. Jim, here. Jim, come over here, he's saying. And here he's clearly very badly injured or even dying. Right, me old girl, Jim, there's a dear. So he's saying, you know, write to my wife and tell her what's happened to me. So presumably he's either dying or very badly injured, and we have the poem closing with this. And notice the rhyme is interesting, isn't it? Ear and dear, and we've had fear and near before. That rhyme, that ear sound, that kind of eerie rhyme, creating a sense of sort of uneasiness, of panic, of despair. And again we have the irony, don't we? He's saying there's a dear, you know, he's saying be nice, be a dear to me, and yet of course he is dying. So we have a situation where a soldier is writing and he is lying to his wife about what's going on in the trench. He's forced to lie because letters were censored at that time, and then in the brackets we have the truth of what's going on. So the poet is revealing that. All of the poem is said in the voice of a soldier. This soldier is not Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen would have been an officer, and this soldier feels like it's a private, you know, someone who's not so important as an officer in the trench. He's speaking in sort of dialect, isn't he, using certain kind of slang phrases. I'm in the pink, meaning I'm healthy, square-headed uns, using this dialect to reveal that, you know, he's probably from a sort of working class background, and even the names like Neil and Bert revealing sort of working class background. We also have you've been asked to comment on the situations in the poem, and then look at the feelings of the thing. Think very carefully about the situations in this poem, because the situations are interesting. We've got the situation of the soldier, haven't we, writing the letter in the trench, and then we have the situation of the wife, don't we, and her situation. She's clearly lacking money, lacking any information really about what's happening to her husband, and then we have the other situations. We have Bill, who's got the knife, hasn't he, who lends it to him to sharpen his pencil. We have Jimmy, who gives a piece of bread to the soldier, and then we have someone who steals his cigarette, so that person obviously desperate for a fag, and then we have Jim at the very end of the poem. He's in the situation of having to be asked to write the end of the letter because this man has been very badly injured. So we have a number of different situations, very carefully and quickly told to us, but told to us indirectly. We have to work it out for ourselves, what's going on. It's almost like a sort of puzzle, this poem. You only get sort of half the story, and you have to fill the rest in your head. You have to build up a context of what's going on in your head. The feelings, well, that's very interesting, isn't it? We've got the feelings that he's showing in the letter. He's saying, you know, don't worry, I'm absolutely fine, I'm healthy, ask mother for some money. So he's presenting a sort of calm front, and then we have his feelings of stress, anger, worry, anxiety throughout in the brackets, and hunger. So what you'll need to do is find quotation to think about that. And then you've got the language, haven't we? Well, we have the language of the letter, which is trying to present, the language possibly of lying, of making things up, of telling half-truths. And then we have the language in the brackets, where he's talking in the present tense about what is actually going on. And so that language is very dramatic, it's truthful, isn't it? It's quite what we call either demotic, that means it's using slang, or it's using local dialect words, soldiers' dialect words, which soldiers exclusively would use, and that is very dramatic. And overall, I think the poem is interesting because it's like a mini short story or a mini film, isn't it? In 150 words or so, he's evoked a kind of very tragic and difficult situation.